Derek Vineyard and Danny. Are we rolling? Hello? Is it on?
American History X. The controversial 1998 drama, directed by Tony Kaye, stirred audiences through its unflinching portrayal of neo-Nazism and racial extremism. Following the non-linear narrative of protagonists Derek and Danny Vineyard, played by actors Edward Norton and Edward Furlong, the film confronts Derek as his destructive consequences as a former gang leader catch up to him, not knowing the influence it has on his younger brother. Ultimately contending that racism operates as a generational cycle in which fear, trauma, and prejudice are both inherited and formed, making the act of breaking free difficult but not impossible within a time period like 1992, which is when the film is set. To fully understand Derek and Danny Vineyard and the world that shaped them, it is important to understand and examine this period, a period in time that consisted of extreme racial prejudice and hate solely towards African Americans, causing movements like the LA riots due to police brutality against African American Rodney King for speeding under influence. Buildings were burnt down, cars were destroyed, streets were vandalized, and over 2,000 participants arrested, and 63 of them being brutally murdered during protesting. Racial tension was a huge issue prevalent, but criminal injustice was such a huge issue that the era was characterized as the colorblind era. It is within this climate of racial division and social unrest that the story of American History X begins to unfold. Similar to how all acts begin as merely thoughts, racism does not erupt into violent actions, but is merely birthed in the conversations that quietly shape beliefs.
We're doing this whole black literature, you know?
What is it, Black History Month?
No, it's just like this guy Sweeney, you know? It's part of the course now.
Yeah.
What?
Nothing, it's just, it's everywhere I look now.
Within this scene, we are introduced to Derek's father, Danny Vineyard, as he shares his extremely racist ideologies he has on immigrants, specifically African Americans, essentially criticizing affirmative action, saying that it's prioritizing race over rank through the word manipulation of
Affirmative blaction.
This entire scene is represented as a past moment, shown to the audience through a monotone black and white color, in which the appearance of both Derek and Danny Vineyard also help to differentiate between past and present, as Derek is visibly shown as a younger adolescent teenager, and Danny dons long hair, showing their physical state before their mental change. Dennis continues to quote-unquote teach Derek about being careful of what Dr. Sweeney tells him, saying to
Hey, read the book, Ace the Guy's Test. Just don't swallow everything he feeds you whole. Just because you see it on the evening news.
communicating the distrust he has because of someone that is the opposite race. He initially is planting seeds into Derek's mind by posing questions like,
Look, now you got this book, Native Son. What happened to the other books in the course? They're not any good anymore because Mr. 2 PhD says they aren't? Huh? You gotta trade in great books for black books?
pitting not only the whole of American citizens, but humanity against one racial group, which automatically sets them as a target in Derek's mind. This entire scene is purposely represented as a very tense moment due to the lack of background music and dark color, giving it a raw feel that almost makes you forget their acting, which was intended by Tony Kaye. Doing this not only creates realism, but situates the audience in Derek's perspective as he takes on what his dad is saying, later reciprocating those ideologies into physical, violent actions, unknowingly leaking into Danny. Without the founding role of a father, due to Dennis's untimely death and Derek's incarceration, Danny clings onto the only male figure closest to that, being Cameron Alexander.
I thought you turned that paper in.
I did. Now fucking Murray turned me in and sucks.
It is revealed that during this short moment between Cameron and Danny, that Cameron was the underlining inspiration, or rather the motivator behind the paper Danny submitted about Adolf Hitler. showing that with Derek's absence, he's now become this sort of mentor towards Danny. Cameron takes advantage of this as he essentially identifies Danny as now the next inheritor or heir to the throne of these racist views and values, and the replacement to Derek's original position as leader. And Danny, being in his adolescence, he's more susceptible to listening to what Alexander has to say, much like Derek with his father, because of the authority they both posed. Another thing to note that Tony Kaye does quite well was through use of deliberate mise-en-scène and a long camera angle. He was able to characterize Cameron Alexander's character without any dialogue, just simply objects. What I mean by this is when Danny and Cameron are having a conversation, the angle switches from a close-up of Danny's face to a long to medium shot of the American flag positioned behind Cameron Alexander, the American branded cup in his hand, and his bright blue clothing that visually associates him with national symbolism, suggesting his external ideologies disguise themselves beneath the language and imagery of patriotism. The film is revealing to us already this cycle of systemic racism, as the views and values associated with Danny and Derek were never entirely their own. But that doesn't mean generational chains can't be broken, and these chains begin to crack when Derek enters prison and meets his new African-American workmate, Lamont. At their first interaction, Derek resembles this stone-cold killer look. Well, I mean, he is one, but it is nailed perfectly by actor Edward Norton, showing us the extreme dislike of the fact that he has to work with an African-American, the very race he was taught to despise all his life. This is also emphasized by the fact that 1990s America was a period in time where multiculturalism was actually a common sight to see and was becoming normalized and almost even endorsed, rooted by the Civil Rights Acts. So Derek having a problem working with Lamont shows us really who he was before his transformation, an extremely racist and hypocritical person. I also want to point out something that Lamont says at the very first interaction, something I feel that was very overlooked. He says to Derek,
"You better watch your ass, cause in the joint, you the nigga, not me."
Saying this automatically strips Derek of his so-called white power, with the fact that he has no protection and that he's a new inmate, and people know him as this extremely racist neo-Nazi. Lamont's name isn't mentioned at all throughout the film, to perhaps portray him as a symbol that bridges that rageful and racist gap that Derek possesses through humor, which in turn humanizes African Americans in the eyes of Derek, leading to his inevitable disillusionment.
How do you figure the Lakers to ever be a bigger dynasty than the Celtics? The Lakers are like a flare-up, a fluke. You know what I mean? Like one good coach for 4 years. The Celtics are...
This is deliberately communicated to the audience in a long to medium camera angle once again. We are showcased Derek's immediate transformation as both him and Lamont share the screen together, signifying how it went from a race dominating race to now a sense of unity, and the first time we genuinely see equality. They share moments of joy, laughter, and even deep and personal conversations as Lamont opens up to Derek about why he's there in the first place, in which this moment strikes Derek as he succumbs to the realization of how flawed the system truly is, influencing his change in mind. Derek undergoes other experiences, like being sexually assaulted by the people he thought upheld the same values as him. This was also a big factor that caused his internal and external perceptions, in which this is when he realized that the cause he was dedicated to was a lie from the get-go. Linking back to cause and effect and this whole overarching cycle, Derek's change causes Danny to change his perception on what he was taught to believe all his life as well, showing once again how one action causes a reaction through this ultimate cycle between the vineyards.